And hello again, and here we are in my garage on a very cold day. It's now mid-December. It's been quite a nice day, fair enough. And despite me standing by my Nolly here, this video is not going to be about my Nolly. Instead, it's going to be a general chat to answer a few questions I've had over the last month or so, mainly about my Z project. So I'll address those, as well as some of the issues that may have come up in the last few weeks about my various projects. And first of all, I've got here the Vosner piston kit for my Z project. It's the 1170cc. I've taken a block today off to the machine shop where it's going to be bored out to take these pistons, and hopefully when that's done the engine build can continue. And I mentioned that briefly in the last video about the Z. But this kit did raise a couple of questions. The first one was, how much was it? And the answer to that is it was £595 from a UK supplier. I'll put up the website just down here now. And yeah, it came pretty quickly. I think it came from Germany. I believe the pistons actually forged in Italy and then shipped over to Germany where they're machined. So, all pretty good stuff. And that question, in fact, about the cost has come up more than once in regard to the Z project, because it is costing quite a lot of money. And I've had a few people asking me, well, why are you bothering? Just go and buy a standard Z9, a standard Z1000. You know, you can pick up one for £6-7 grand, and you've got a genuine bike there. You can restore it. It's worth a lot of money. Blah blah blah. And the answer to that question is that, well, I don't want a standard Z1, Z9, Z1000. I've owned them before. I'm not interested in standard bikes anymore, as you can tell. And I'm more interested in building a kind of retro mod. I was very impressed with some bikes I've seen from Sanctuary AGM in Japan. They're very impressive. So I want to build something like that, something that looks like a Z1 but has modern brakes, suspension, hopefully a brace frame, more power and so on. So that's what I'm aiming for, without spending huge amounts of money, because I believe the Sanctuary bikes are like 30, 40, 50,000 pounds, so we're not doing that. Now, it would have been quite easy to go and buy a rough running or even non-running barn find Z1000, strip it all down and do what I'm doing right now to my Z650 project. But the problem with that approach is that even really rough or non-running Z1, Z9, Z1000s are starting off at what, £3,500. One that's running is 4.5, but the chances are it'll need complete rebuilding. So what I didn't want to do was buy a complete bike, even if it's non-running, and pay what, £4,000 for it, then strip it all down and have all that cost again to build something that I want. So instead, the Z650 frame and a Z1000 tank and the engine, which came off a GPZ 1100B1 in bits, of course, it was completely in bits, came up for a good price. I think it was £400 via Jeff. I met Jeff, so I said, yeah, okay, we'll go for that. And I do keep a very careful account of how much it costs to do all these things. And one question I've actually been asked is, well, why is Jeff doing all this stuff for you? Well, he does it because I pay him. I'm just a customer at the end of the day. He's a mate, but I don't take advantage of that. I pay him the going rate for all the work I do. And at £20 an hour, it does add up. The good news is that sometimes we do swaps, because I help him out with things and he helps me out with things. So if he's got some spare yokes, maybe I'll say, yeah, go on, I'll have them. And it's not going to cost me a fortune to buy them, because he's got half a dozen on a shelf that have been sitting there for 10 years. Yeah, so far the cost of the bike, I don't know, I've not even added up yet, but when it's all finished I will total it all up and tell you how much it costs. But it's certainly going to be, I don't think it'll be £10,000, but it won't be far off. And so in conclusion then, the reason why I chose to start off with basically a Z650 frame, some empty cases, a block, a damaged head and a Z1000 tank was because they were available, and the alternative was to spend £4,000 or £5,000 on a non-running or poor running Z1000 or Z9 and basically rip it all apart and throw away most of it and start again. So that's why I prefer to do the former rather than the latter. Now that decision may or may not be a good idea at the end of the day, because it does have implications going forward. Selling it might be more difficult because it's a sort of oddball bike, it's a bit of a bitzer, and also insurance can be quite difficult too, because when you tell them what you've done, it's like, oh, I don't know about that. You need an engineer's report, insurance might be more expensive and so on. And the second question I get asked a few times is, do these bikes actually run, since I don't actually show them running very often? And the answer to that question is yes, they do run. Taking them one at a time. My Ducati 888, there's a few videos on my channel of that being run on a dyno, and also there's one I did where I went out and filmed it on the road. Ditto for my Merch 131 drag bike inspired custom softtail here. Again, there's a couple of videos of that bike on a dyno being run up, and let's see, I don't think there's any videos of it just running on the road. No, I don't think so. And as for my nollie here, yes, it does run, and in fact I did a video, let's see, I think it's part 15 of the build series, where I hooked up to my car and fired it up. The reason for that was because it requires a lithium ion battery, and the first one I had on it died. I've not got a new one yet because I didn't want to spend £200 plus when the bike's just going to sit here for another few months. So yeah, it does run, and in fact I will actually include a video. In fact, why not, I'll put it here right now. Here's a quick extract from that video just to show you it running and how it sounds. So here it is. Okay, so now we're back again. So moving on then, obviously I don't have a video yet of the Z because it's in pieces, while my Guzzi project isn't quite finished yet. I'm still waiting for the bodywork to come back from the painter, although I'm promised it any day now. I've got to go and see him and confirm the final details, and he'll paint it. It's now mid-December and it's due to be finished in the first week of January. Now, as part of that process, I need to crack on with it and finish all the little annoying little niggly things I've got to finish with the bike. Can't do that where it is now at the back of the house, so this nollie here is going to move today into the house, or rather into the conservatory at the back of the house, and the Guzzi is going to come in here where I've got a bit more room, and hopefully I can finish off the wiring and finish off all those little annoying things that need to be done before it can fire up for the first time. Yeah, now to go back a little bit though, I don't have many videos taken like a vlog where I'm on the bike, riding the bike, because A, I don't have sort of GoPro type video camera, and when I went out and videoed the 888 on some quiet back roads, it was quite terrifying really, because I had to set up the camera on a tripod by the side of the road and then ride off down the road, turn round, come back, go past the camera, maybe half a mile or so further along, and then turn around and come back again. If all that takes about 5 minutes, that means for 5 minutes I've got an expensive camera sitting on a tripod by the side of a lane somewhere, a quiet road, just waiting for someone to walk past and pick it up and steal it or take it away. So that was a bit worrying really. So I've not done that since, because I thought I don't want to come back to find the camera's gone AWOL and someone's found it, picked it up and walked off with it. And so if I want to do some more videos out on the road in the future, which I do want to do, I need to buy myself a sort of GoPro type little camera. I don't know much about those, but I'll have to have a look to see what I can find next year. And what would also be very helpful is to have a helper to sort of stand by the camera as I leave it unattended, so it doesn't get stolen while I'm out and about running past the damn thing. Also, of course, it would be helpful if they could pan the camera and change the focus and so on. But at the moment I don't have anybody like that, so maybe we'll find somebody who can be bored enough to come and stand by a camera as I ride past a few times. Yeah, so it's something actually I want to do more of in the future, perhaps next summer, when the Guzzi's finished. I want to do some on-road videos about that, and also my nollie, and also of course the Z. Okay, that's better. So next up then is the third question, which concerns what I'm going to do next year in 2021. Now, my plan for this year was to finish all my current projects by the mid-year, but that went out the window due to obvious reasons, so we'll move forward in a year, and my new plan is going to be to finish all these projects by the mid-year 2021, and that means I want to finish my Guzzi project, my Z project, and that's the one with the most work yet to do, and of course not forgetting my old Ducati MHR, which is still sitting in a lounge because there's nowhere else for it to go. Although that said, pretty much all the work to get it back on the road is now finished. I just need to, I don't know, roll it out of there and try it out, but I can't do that yet because, as I say, there's no room for it anywhere else. I really have to get my Guzzi finished, get it in here, get the knot in here as well, and that means really there's no more room for any of the bikes. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Obviously a first world problem, too many bikes, too many projects, but there you go, there you go. And as I mentioned earlier on this video, I do want to get myself a sort of GoPro or a cheap version of a GoPro and do some more on-bike videos riding these various bikes, because they do sound pretty damn cool and they're very different from your typical modern sports bike. Yeah, so that's something I want to do. What else? It is a bit worrying that I did read the other day that the 2021 TT on Isle of Man has been cancelled again. That's in late May and June, so if that's cancelled, I'm not sure what else is going to get cancelled in 2021 in terms of the shows and the events that I tend to go to. The first big show I tend to attend is in April. That's the big classic bike show in Stafford, and again I've no idea if that's going to go on or not. Hopefully it will be, because by April maybe we'll all have our vaccinations and everything can get back to normal, but we'll see. And another question I've been asked is, what are you going to build next? What's your new project going into the future? And it's true to say that I always do have a project ongoing, and I have had for like 20 odd years. But for the last year or two, I've had too many projects. I've got currently three and a half projects on the go, and that's far too many. So my answer is, I want to get everything I've got at the moment finished, cleared away. I'm happy with it, they're running, they're road legal, before I even consider a new project. But having said that, of course, we always have ideas, and I've got lots of ideas for things to do in the future. The only slight problem with that idea is that I'm running out of space. This garage can hold maybe 4 bikes, 5 bikes at a push, but then there's no room to do any work in here. And at the moment I've got 6 bikes, so if I've got a 7th, that's going to be a big problem in terms of where do I build it. So of course the answer to that is, well, sell a few bikes, and I hate doing that. I really hate selling bikes, and I have the bikes I have because I like them. So I guess the only bike that I could sell quite easily without too much hassle is the Ducati behind me, the 888, because that's pretty damn standard, and so it's a lot easier to sell. Well, actually I do like it, so who knows. But as I say, looking forward, if I did do another project, let's see. Well, I do still have my old drag bike that I now actually ran, and that's got a brand new 127 cubic inch El Bruto Evo big twin motor in it, brand new 6-speed gearbox, brand new primaries, all the bits you need to fire it all up. I've just taken the wheels off it at the moment for the Z, so yeah, I could do something with that. The frame really is useless for the road, for a road bike, because it's so low and so raked out you couldn't use it on the road. But maybe I could find a frame for that, or maybe I could buy an old Evo Softail with a bus motor that's rough and ready, and then use that chassis in the logbook to build or rebuild that bike with the bigger engine in it. So that's a possibility, because here in the UK getting a logbook, getting a registration for a one-off bike is very difficult. You have to go through something called MSVA, which is a lot of hassle. So most people don't bother. They go off and get an existing bike and then modify that. It's found just turning up here. Yes, that's a possibility. Okay, what's next? Another thought I had was, why not just go and buy a brand new bike? Because all my bikes are single seaters pretty much, pretty uncomfortable. I wouldn't say they're unreliable, but I wouldn't try running across Europe on one. So they're all pretty impractical really. Not the sort of bikes you want to pop out on and leave in a car park somewhere. So I have been thinking about perhaps buying a brand new bike, or a very nearly brand new bike, recently. And I must say, looking at all the bikes out there, they're all pretty damn ugly. Most new bikes to me are quite ugly. The current styling trays are very angular style. Just don't like it at all. Whether that's Kawasaki ZX10s or ZX12s, whatever. Whether that's let's see, what else don't I like? Pretty much all the Japanese R1s, don't like them. The MT-07s, 10s, God, they're ugly. Even Ducatis, the new Panighellis, don't like that at all. So, not unsurprisingly, I was looking at sort of retro bikes, maybe a Triumph Bonneville, sort of Thruxton, but maybe that's a bit too close to what I already have. And what I really need is something a bit more practical. So I did consider either a Royal Enfield 650 Interceptor. I've sat on one, I've not ridden one yet, but I've heard very good things about them, and they've certainly got a lot of possibilities to modify them and change them a bit, you know, big bore kits, that sort of thing, cams, all the rest. So yeah, that's a possibility. I just worry I might get a bit bored with it, because they make, what, 47 brake standard, and that's not much compared to what I'm used to. So the other bike I was looking at is, not unsurprisingly, a Kawasaki, because that's my favourite Japanese brand, a Kawasaki Z900 RS. That's the retro style bike, very similar to the Z I'm building at the moment, although I go for the RS Cafe version. Only issue with that is the colours are pretty damn horrible. Lime green, Kawasaki green and white, no. Silver, no. What else have they done? Yeah, I believe they've just come out now with a 2021 sort of burnt orange look, sort of brown and orange, which may be okay, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's a possibility, and the prices actually aren't too bad. Brand new 10 grand, you can get pre-registered bikes with 0 miles on the clock for about 8.5, so yeah, not too bad. The only problem is, of course, where's it going to go? I've got no room, and also got no time to ride it, because at the moment I'm pretty tired at home. So if we get a nice day and I get a few hours free, then chances are I'm going to want to ride one of these bikes rather than a brand new standard bike. But we'll see, that's something maybe for a year or two down the road when I've got more time. And so going back then to looking at future projects, I've got plenty of ideas. Which one I go with, I have no idea at the moment. My friend Les, who's probably watching this right now, has a very nice Kawasaki Mark II, 79 I think, which is supercharged some time ago. It doesn't look like a Kawasaki Mark II Z1000 anymore, of course, but the engineering on that bike is very impressive. So I wouldn't mind doing something similar, except I wouldn't go the sort of high-tech route that he did, because he's got a 1R3 injection system, maps, it's got water injection and so on, and it doesn't look like a Kawasaki Z1000 anymore. I really want to keep it pretty standard looking still, you know, Z9, Z1 bodywork, and keep it sort of retro, so use a carburetor rather than injection and so on. So that's a possibility. And both he and his brother Jeff know an awful lot about supercharged Kawasaki, so I get plenty of help on that front. So that's a possibility. Other than that, well, who knows, we'll see. And then of course, looking across town to my mate Jeff's workshop, I just mentioned him, I do own half of a drag bike in that workshop, so maybe that will move forward in the future when we've got some more time and money to throw at it. And also of course Jeff is building his own Honda supercharged bike, so that'll be quite interesting to watch what happens with that. Yeah, so still plenty of things to look forward to in 2021, hopefully. That's assuming we're all still here, of course. What else? Oh yes, one more thing. They say one-off custom bikes are never finished, and that's quite true, because you never ever get them perfect. There's always something you can change, something you can improve, and that's the case with my Harleys, this Norley, my Guzzi and so on. So once they're sort of finished and on the road, that does not mean to say they're finished in terms of being modified. Far from it. For example, my Guzzi, once it's finished, once it's on the road, it'll look pretty damn impressive, I think. But it is based on a pretty mildly tuned California 3, the sort of cruiser version of the Guzzis of the time. And I think it makes about 60 brake horsepower on a good day, maybe 65, who knows. Whereas a similar Moto Guzzi Le Mans Mark IV, Mark V, which is very similar to that bike, they make like 75 or 80 brake horsepower. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what the numbers say. So I would like to have that bike produce at least that kind of horsepower. So to do that, it needs to be modified to Le Mans spec at least, and hopefully a bit more beyond that point. And to do that, I've been doing some research. I know what cam it needs, I know what kind of head it needs, I know what carbs it needs and so on. So all of that is something I want to do, not this winter but next winter, assuming of course that it's all running fine, there's no unexpected problems with the engine, with the gearbox and so on, and I'm pretty happy with the bike overall. I then want to continue modifying it and make it even better, and that's also the case with the Harley and the Norley and even the Z. You know, there's always things you can improve, and so that's what I'll be doing probably into the end of next year and over the winter time. Whether I'll then start a brand new project after that, we'll see. I guess space is an issue. In the past it's money and time, but now I have time, I have the money, but I don't have space, so that's a bit of a problem. Anyway, this is the first part of a sort of end of year shop chat, and we'll continue it when I go and see Jeff in a few days time, and we'll see what he has to say about the year and what his plans are for next year. So for now then, thanks for watching and cheers.